Hello and welcome to myfinanceteacher.org. In this video I want to draw your attention to cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Talking about Bitcoin, to be honest, I don't think there is that much interesting going on the Bitcoin chart. Over the last few weeks already, Bitcoin has just been going sideways, very flat. RSI, well, there is some movement in the 14-day RSI, but it's relatively flat as well. We're going to talk about this day when RSI reached 41 on the 27th of June. And there is a small chance, I would give it only a 30% chance, that on that day, 27th of June, the 2-month cycle in Bitcoin has actually finished. And since then, Bitcoin has been in a new cycle, so far going on for 16 days. However, I don't think it's very likely, because that would give us a relatively short cycle lasting for only 48 days. And that actually comes close to a record in terms of a short cycle that I've seen over the last few years, and that's only a 46-day cycle all the way back in early 2018. So although there is a chance that the previous 2-month cycle in Bitcoin did finish at the end of June, meaning that over the next couple of weeks there will be probably an upward momentum in Bitcoin price, I don't think this is a very likely scenario. I think the ongoing 2-month cycle is, well, still ongoing, giving us a 64-day cycle, meaning that it's getting a little bit late into the cycle. And as the Bollinger Bands are narrowing, as the price continues to go sideways, I've mentioned a lot of times, narrow Bollinger Bands usually indicate a possibility of a violent move coming. And I've also mentioned many times that periods of high volatility are often replaced by periods of low volatility and vice versa. So with the cycle being 64 days old already, I think there is a greater chance of volatility coming to the downside, finally bringing us a 2-month cycle low for Bitcoin. And that would be a nice chance to enter into some trades. Next, looking at Bitcoin Optimism Index, the optics chart for Bitcoin. At the moment, the optimism is at nearly 48 for Bitcoin, whereas yesterday it was under 40. Generally, as you see from the chart, it's possibly a good idea to enter into some trades on Bitcoin when the optimism index is somewhere around 30, and even better if it's below that. So again, although there is a chance of an upward momentum here if Bitcoin is already in a new cycle, after all, we do see several higher lows on Bitcoin. Still, I think it's better to wait a little bit for a nicer setup, possibly with the optimism index down into 30 and below. Next, let's have a look at these premiums on Grayscale, Bitcoin Trust. And again, as you see from the chart, it's generally a good idea to enter into long trades when this premium drops close to 10%, under 12%. This line over here is 12%. And if it's under 10%, that's generally even better. We see a low over here sometime in early October 2019. That's a cycle low in late October, but an early October drop in the premiums would have given you a generally nice entry point. We see another low sometime in January this year, and that's a little bit late after the low, but still a pretty decent entry point for a continued upwards move in that cycle in early 2020. And of course, we see a significant low on this premium sometime in early March this year, which would have been a great entry opportunity on Bitcoin. So at the moment, the premiums are close to 10%, and I think there is a good chance that over the next week or so, as the 2-month cycle in Bitcoin comes to an end, there might be a really nice entry opportunity. So what we have to do over the next few days is probably keep an eye on this Bitcoin chart. At the moment though, let's move on to Ethereum. I think it looks a little bit more interesting as the cycles in Ethereum are generally a little bit shorter. They usually last for 51 days rather than 2 months as they do in Bitcoin. So there is a greater chance that the cycle did actually finish for Ethereum here on the 27th of June, which would give us a 47-day cycle. And after that, we see again a series of higher lows and a relatively good momentum on Ethereum, where it's actually managed to move convincingly above the 50-day moving average, whereas Bitcoin hasn't actually managed to stay above its 50-day moving average. Ethereum has even poked once through the upper range of the Bollinger Bands, but if the new cycle has started at the end of June, the ongoing cycle is only 16 days old. RSI is not that close to overbought area yet, so I think there will be multiple more pokes through the upper range of the Bollinger Bands over the next few weeks. So what I want to do is I want to enter some trades in my personal as well as the fictitious portfolio here at myfinancesteacher.org. As a member, you can click on this link on the menu on the left-hand side, which shows you all the details on this fictitious portfolio. And once I finish recording of this video, I'll update this entry for the cryptocurrencies part of the portfolio immediately. Next, let's have a look at the premiums on Grayscale Ethereum Trust. And compared to Bitcoin, these premiums are a little bit more difficult to read because the volatility is really high. You see that recently the premiums reached over 800%. How crazy is that? But generally, a sharp move down in these premiums also indicates a nice entry point. And as you see, over the last few weeks, the premiums dropped from above 800% down to 200% or so. So although there is a chance for these premiums as well as the Ethereum itself to continue down, I think we've seen a significant enough drop in these premiums, which you could argue indicates some sort of a sentiment on the markets to warrant at least a small trade on the long side. And the last tiny quick look on gold, although the topic of this video is of course cryptocurrencies. So far today, before the US markets open on Monday, gold is giving us a green candle, so my positions are likely to stay at about 87% if gold doesn't suddenly drop significantly and doesn't hit my stop losses. By the way, again, all the information on the position as well as stop losses over here at the page for our portfolio. For now, I wish you an amazing day, and I'll update this fictitious portfolio in a moment as I'm going to enter the Ethereum trade. The price is 244.09. Let's go into that trade and good luck in your trades.